Good. So the next 20 minutes, we're gonna talk about again after sales or aftermarket, and especially the focus on what the connected car data helps you to drive your business. This will not be interactive. We have been we have had the interactive part. Now it's more a lecture. Anyway, I think in total the mix will be good. Let's start with a big mistake, first of all, because the term after sales, actually, I don't like it, right? There was sales implies that this is where the magic happens, and after sales is something afterwards, and you don't have to care that much. But Holger already shared this with us. After sales is very important, and it's sales as well because there a lot of things are sold, and it's a profit which is realized. And I tend to say the former saying, there is this moment of truth where a customer puts the money on the table and makes a buying decision. This has been the focus in the past. Already today, and especially in the future, it has to change, and it is already changing to a understanding of that every moment counts, every single moment counts, because after sales, if you want to name it like this, is roughly 100 times as much time as the sales. Right? In passenger car sales is roughly 10 hours interaction between the OEM through websites and stuff and dealers, and the after sales is 1,000 hours. So this is where you actually create value, you create customer experience, where you have a lot of customer touch points, especially through the connected vehicle. In the past, the vehicle was gone, right? And only the dealer side. Now you have the opportunity to really interact with the customer to provide additional services than just having a nice car. And that's why I tend to say after sales is the new sales. And remember this formula, sales is equal to customer experience or customer delightment, if you will. And this is a function of all the single moments you have throughout these 1,000 hours. So the focus really shifts from this moment of truth, the single, potentially single moment of truth, to everyday interaction and engagement of customers. Now, if we talk about a connected car, the business model changes a bit. It still starts with the sell or the sale of a car, right? And in return, the manufacturer receives money. This is still part of the deal, and it's the basis or the foundation for everything else. But in addition, this car is becoming a platform for additional services like we are used to with all the smartphones and stuff like that. First of all, over-the-air updates, feature on demand, these kind of features add additional value to the customer, and in return, of course, is also good for receiving money by the OEM. We'll talk about how much worth this is in a bit. Like the App Store model, many OEMs also open their IVI to independent developer communities. Not the core features, of course, but they're open in kind of an app store that someone else on their own cost develops features. And of course, first of all, the money goes to these developers, but then as a commission, something, a percentage of 10, whatever, 30% ends up in the manufacturer. The same logic applies to so-called value-add services partners. And that's what I meant before. If you think about mobility as a holistic thing, it's not just driving a car and refueling or recharging a car, right? It's the interchange with other transportation means, it's the lodging when you're on a business trip, it's the food and drink. So there is a lot more around just driving a car if you think in the term of holistic mobility. And that requires connected partners who provide these services. Potentially, you just make a deal with them and you kind of hand over the lead. But that's also good for a few percentage point of commission. And then you receive a lot of data, some insightful data about your customers. And again, there is a mistake when you talk about data-driven business model. First of all, it is data that helps you to optimize your own existing processes or improving your processes. It's not per se selling that data. It's more about improving your engineering process, knowing better what your customers want and how they use your product. It's about also improving the sales process, also the after sales, the service processes. This is where the majority of this data-driven business kind of finally resides. And then, of course, there is an opportunity to potentially sell the data with the consent of the customer, and that again is something of value to the manufacturer. Now, what is this worth? For Tesla, analysts say, and it has to be proven in the future, that the second part, right, the kind of after the sale of the car is worth the same order of magnitude as the sale of the car itself. I've collected some numbers here to underpin this message. In the US in 2019, according to the official US consumer expenditure analysis, the money made with the car itself was a bit more than $4,000 US. In the after sales already, it was a little bit below $4,000 US. Tesla, and this is another source from Loop Ventures and Morgan Stanley. Tesla made just for a subscription of their services and feature on demand and over the air upgrades, they made almost $1,000 US per car per year. And all these other services, which, for example, the Share group or the Now group addressed, these are worth also again almost $3,000 US per year. So this is just to show you that this after sales process, so the thing after the sale, is as worth as the sale itself. And that brings me to my next formula, which you should remember. Connected vehicles, which are enabled to provide connected services, like we just discussed, they have the potential, just the potential, first of all, to double the profit compared to traditional car business. Now, how do you realize this potential? Of course, it's about an offer a customer can hardly refuse. Let's go through an example of how that offer has to look like to be hard to refuse. If you look at the sales guy on the right side, Don Corleone, asking the customer to give him $200, the customer might say, well, you know what? I just don't have $200 with me. I can't give you the $200. Don Corleone says, well, no problem. I've got online payment. So if Don Corleone increases the ability for the customer to pay, it's more likely that he will get his $200. If Don Corleone goes one step further and says, hey, I have this PayPal Express checkout. It's a one-click experience. The ability is even better. It's more likely that this offer will be not refused. Then the customer might say, hey, well, what do I get for these $200? I understand I can pay, but what for? Now, if the sales guy says, think about your health or maybe your life, then there is a lot of motivation to pay these $200, right? So you need something in return, and that it needs to be very specific and compelling. And now if the sales guy said, hey, and I got you some discount, the motivation is even higher. Last thing, if there is a trigger, if this offer is only valid for 59 seconds, otherwise it expires. Then it's very likely, and at least much more likely than you have all the time of your life, that someone will click that button. And that logic is how you need to design your sales process and your offers towards your customer. They need to be targeted. They need to have a clear motivation. They need to be easy to process, and there needs to be a trigger. And that's the magic formula, the third one this day. It's a Stanford University formula from 2007, Fox behavior model. You should remember this. It just says the higher your motivation is and the easier it is for you to do something, the more likely a trigger is to succeed. And now let's apply this in automotive. So that's the formula you have to remember. I'll summarize them at the end of my presentation. In traditional automotive, there is no such formula applied. It basically starts with, now it's almost springtime. Every springtime, I don't know why, I get these brochures or whatever, these emails saying, hey, look, there is 200 products. Pick yourself. We don't know what you need. Inform yourself about the details and then contact the dealer to schedule an appointment. This is how it works, right? So I might not even be interested in some wheels, but I get tons of wheels to be offered. If I'm interested in one, it says it starts at $299. When I finally end up with a wheel which fits on my car, it's $499. Potentially, it's not even available for the car I drive. Stuff like that happens. And then if I think about the process from today until this wheel is on my car, yeah, the nightmare starts. I'm exaggerating, I know. But this is the traditional process we're trying to achieve in after sales, or we try to achieve. Now, if we apply the Stanford School of Persuasion model, first of all, we need to understand what the customer potentially is interested in. It's segment size 1, right? It's not all customers in springtime. It's about Mr. Joachim Klink with his car and his patterns and preferences. Maybe it's these 19-inch OE sports wheels with the specific tires and brakes. And why do we know this? Because we know this customer wants to be able to drive higher turn speeds, potentially, or whatever. And also maybe take advantage, of course, of some kind of promo discount if this is bundled in a package. The ability, compared to the example above, should be made so easy that I get this offer pre-packaged with all the prices, what fits to my car, and maybe 3 different pre-scheduled appointments, which I can just accept by clicking a button, something like that. Or if I show up at the dealer or at the garage for the regular maintenance, they are prepared with this information and say, hey, you know what? Your tires are good for another 3,000 kilometers. Why not change them today? We have a special discount here. And if you check out the car this evening, they are all mounted. You don't have to come back again in a couple of weeks. This kind of thing is much more likely to succeed than the traditional process on the upper side. And if we apply a trigger, what could be vehicle sensors that told the OEM that I was driving on the edge, potentially just a few minutes ago, or maybe the day before, or whatever, last week, I still remember that unsafe situation, or whatever. I remember the situation where this Porsche overtook me. And I now think, okay, next time this will not happen again to me when I have these kind of wheels. Whatever, this could be a trigger, right? And also, don't forget this limited time offer, and whatever the fastest customers will get some extra. This is the kind of thing what is much more likely to succeed. And of course, in the middle, you need to improve the CRM processes and systems. On the left side and the right side, this is fueled by connected car data. You can't do this without the ton of data you have about your customers, and that helps you to apply this magic formula and finally realize, the sale. Just a couple of examples. If we want to understand whether or not a customer, a driver, is receptive for some kind of parking aid or parking offers, simple math, really simple math. If you just distribute the parking locations, the top 10 parking locations, you will realize that in this case, myself is probably parking in front of my house every day and maybe in the office if it weren't Corona, um, and maybe 2 or 3 more locations. So it's for me, I'm very easy to park my car, whereas Alex is a lot more distributed. So he's probably a street parker, has to look for parking spaces. So it's much harder for him to park the car. And this is the kind of information what helps you. Maybe Alex is more receptive for any kind of parking aid, right? It could be a parking lot prediction. What would help you on this one? Yeah, where also he is longer searching for a parking space than myself. It could be a whatever self-park thing, a 360 camera. These things can be retrofitted meanwhile. So this is the kind of data insights you need to draw a line between the pattern, the preferences of your customer, and the offer you have in your bucket. And in the interest of time, I'll not go through the next 2 slides. Just to I'll give them away with the handout or with the slide deck. Just one example. We talked about these driver types. This is the data we need. There is a formula behind it. This is the driver profile we derive from it, and these are potential offers you can sell. Right. So this is what we need to do in our systems, and then we are much more likely to hit that motivation of each single customer. This is available for a driver profile. This is available for vehicle conditions. It's not that hard. It's really, it's not rocket science. Now, finishing it up, this is what we talked about, the kind of deterministic understanding. When we have a certain set of data, right? These customers have this data, and they potentially need something. This is the line between the pattern, the preference is what we can see in the data, and also the offer. There is 2 more types of targeted offers, and we know them from Amazon. The simplest one is the customer who bought this also bought something else. We don't even know why. We don't care. It's just we have this assumption. Every human is some kind similar, and if we have a lot of customers who buy this and afterwards buy this, there is a potential that other customers do it the same way. Very simple to implement. A little bit more difficult, but still just pure correlation is customer of the similar data like you or like a single customer also took advantage of something. So this is the simple stuff, not rocket science, right? Here we have to have some knowledge. This is implemented formula, more deterministic. This is pure correlation here. And if you then apply some rocket science, this here can help you understand over time by machine learning algorithms, help you understand more of what your customers really need and when they need it and how they use your product. So this all together brings me back to my 3 formulas, which answer the question how the connected car enables data-driven business in after sales. First of all, as said, sales or success in sales is equal to customer experience and customer delightment. And that is a function of the sum of all single moments over the complete life cycle of a car. Connected vehicles enabled with connected services provide twice the potential of traditional car business. And behavior, in this case, our desired behavior is to purchase something. We want the customer to purchase something. Behavior is a function of the motivation, the ability, and the trigger all at the same time. With that said, I think back to Houston Mission Control, and we'll have some Q&A, right?